Hey everyone, wanted to give a quick tutorial, not necessarily a tutorial, but an overview of how to get some proper exposure to have a much more consistent image capture session with your Starlink app and your X-Star. Now what you see before you up top, you'll see some lined patterns moving across the screen. In photography, these are usually called zebra stripes, and in the Starlink app, they're called overexposure warning. Now, these are what they're going to do is let you see an area in your scene that is overexposed, where you're losing the detail in areas that are usually very, very bright or pure white. You can access them in the lower right of your app with your camera with the gear icon, and then under your cog wheel. This is an overexposure warning that turns that on and off. It's going to let you know areas of your scene that are overexposed. So what we do is with our right roller wheel, we can adjust that, pulling it towards us to lessen the exposure, and you can see as if we keep going, we completely underexpose. If we scroll it away from us, we're letting more light into the sensor and in a sense overexposing our scene. What you'd like to do in each of your scenes is always try to determine what is the brightest object in your scene. It's not always the sky, sometimes it's the water, reflections on the waters, or if you're in the city, it could be the side of a bright building. I'm not flying, I'm just going to handhold this to move around a little bit just so that you can see how it changes. You see we've got a little bit on the side of the house there and over here. But in general, you want to try to expose for what's going to be your average brightest subject. So I'm going to roll this back towards myself and knock down that exposure. Now you'll see that we've got a lot better. We can see the details in that area that was previously overexposed, and it's always going to remain the same. So if I pan down with the application, my camera pan, you can see that we've been able to maintain a consistent exposure whether we pass over something bright or something dark, and that's just going to help us be consistent so that as we fly and move under the trees or in the shade, or the sun comes out or the sun goes down, we're always going to be rather consistent with our brightness and our exposure in our scene. Now you can increase the brightness in a post editor and get back some of the color saturation that you see if I increase the exposure here. But keep in mind, now my foreground looks good, but as soon as we hit something that maybe the sun would come out and brighten up that wall, we're going to get it to be blown out, just like you're now seeing with the sky. It's partially blown out. Where at the top you can see the zebra stripes, and at the bottom you can see a less bright portion of the sky that's properly exposed. So you've got to try to find a happy average with that. And generally, if you lessen your exposure to there is maybe some zebra striping, like here at the top right, and see the suns just came out again. And if I change my exposure here to allow for more light, you'll see how now again the foreground colors are nice and vivid, but we're not properly exposing. The sun's going behind a cloud a little bit here, so that exposure on that wall could change, but I prefer to manually adjust that down myself so that I've got that detail where I want it. And then if I need to later on in my video editor, I can bring the brightness up and still get those colors that I'd like to keep. So I hope you guys find this helpful, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.